Hello Instagram fam, happy Saturday. How are we all doing? So I'm actually just getting ready to go out, and I wanted to just chat to you guys about something that was activating in me last night. I was out last night dancing at the club here in Cape Town, and I wanted to just chat to you guys about this because it comes up so strongly every time I go out and I dance and I express myself, because dancing is the #1 way that we can activate our womb sacral energy. And this is the energy of the divine feminine. This is the energy of the goddess. This is bringing that feminine power and strength to spaces and places that have typically been very masculinized and very dominated by the mainstream culture, which unfortunately is a very patriarchal, very rigid, very kind of closed-minded space. Hi Nina, thank you for being here. And so when we as powerful women come into a space and we bring our authenticity, because this is another code that the womb brings to us, it allows us to channel our authentic, creative, sensual flavor that comes straight from our body, straight from our heart, straight from our womb. And this can be very confronting for a lot of people, because we haven't had role models in our society to show us what a powerful, embodied, feminine, sensual woman looks like. Many people have had zero examples of what that means or what that looks like in their lives. And so it can be really confronting. And that's why being an embodied, empowered, spiritual woman is no fucking joke in this current society. It really is no joke, because it takes a lot of courage and internal safety that comes from doing deep amounts of shadow work to be able to step in a space and be like, I am bringing my full self. I am going to take up space. Hey, Kaylin, I am going to be my true self and not try to conform, or not try to shrink myself, or not try to fit in, or not try to, compartmentalize myself to be liked and accepted. We can either follow the herd, be in this sheep mentality and fit in and change ourselves, or we can do the complete opposite and come into a space and own our own energy, right? It's about stepping into a room and owning what your energy is and honoring that and staying true in that channel, this connection between self and God, and knowing your place and your worth, and not trying to enter a room to conform and, fit the vibe of the other people or of the room, right? It's owning your power, stepping into the room and bringing your own energy, right? And this can be really triggering for other people. It can be triggering for yourself. It can be confronting. It can be difficult to navigate. Like I said, a lot of people, men and women, have no idea what a feminine, embodied, empowered woman looks like. And so when they are around an empowered woman, they have no fucking idea what to do. They have no fucking idea how to respond to her, how to treat her, how to speak to her, how to engage with her, because it's just so mind-blowing and far out of their paradigm that they're used to. And so I have a lot of experiences in clubs and at festivals, mainly in clubs, because festivals are more free moving spaces, and so there's more space for people to move around. But especially in clubs, I have a lot of men come onto me, I get a lot of stares, I get a lot of unwanted attention. And unfortunately, this is the paradox of being your authentic self is that you're going to get unwanted attention, but you're also going to magnetize people who are on your same level. And so it's really about cultivating that internal safety and knowing your boundaries and knowing how to speak your truth and speak your own boundaries and how to keep yourself safe, right? Like even last night, I was dancing, and when I dance, I like fully go for it. I allow myself to express in the most authentic way possible. I allow myself to go crazy. I allow myself to get wild. I allow myself to really get sensual and sexual and move how the music wants to move my body and flow with the frequencies. And it's so beautiful to be in the energy of someone who's in their power and in their creative movement expression. It's so magnetic. And the womb is this magnetic powerhouse. It is this gyrating like black hole energy that just like, when it's activated, it swirls around and it magnetizes all the things around it towards it, right? And so I often will create space for myself on the dance floor. And when I'm in channel, which is when I'm in connection to my own energy and I'm allowing it to flow and move how it wants to, I create that space. But as soon as my attention goes, then people start to come into my space and they knock me and they bump into me, or they want some of my energy because it's just so like intoxicating. Actually, it's like this very seductive, intoxicating, authentic energy. And it's not that I'm trying to ask for attention. It's that me being in this very powerful feminine expression, which most people have barely ever encountered in their lives. It's very, like they don't know what to do with it, they really, really don't, especially the fucking normies, especially the normies that are like drunk and off their face and like, they really don't know what to do. And so I've had many, many unpleasant experiences on the dance floor with men coming onto me and getting in my space and crossing my boundaries. And I've really had to learn, what does it mean to hold my space? What does it mean to hold my own boundaries? Like last night I was dancing and this girl, she just stepped back and she was standing on my toe for about 2 minutes. And instead of like moving and like accommodating, I stood my ground and I tapped on the shoulder and I was like, excuse me, you're on my toe, and she had no idea. And so this is what I mean by being not afraid to take up space. Like I wasn't moving, I was standing completely still and she stood onto my toe. And so instead of me moving and trying to accommodate her, I stood my ground, I stood my boundary, and I said to her, excuse me, even though it was very, very minor, she was still inflicting on my personal space. And this is like a very kind way of, creating this dynamic and owning your boundaries. But sometimes, some people need a little bit more harshness and aggression in understanding your boundaries, because they don't fucking get it the first time, because they're so fucking thick and they're so unaware. They're unself-aware of like how they are, how they are impacting on you, I was dancing and I had this guy and he was like in my field, and generally I like ignore people, like if they want to speak to me they can, but if they don't, then like I generally try to ignore people and just, I'm in my flow, I'm in my channel. And this guy, he was like in my field and I'm like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna ignore him. And then he comes up to me and he says like, oh, I like your jacket. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, thanks. Carry on dancing in my own flow. And then I feel him like come behind me and like start to almost try to touch me. And I turn around and I say, please don't touch me. I don't like that. Stop that. That's not nice. And he says, okay. And so I think that's the last time. And then I'm like still carry on dancing and he tries to come up to me and I look at him and I say, please just leave me alone. Because I didn't want to talk to him. Nothing he had to say was going to enhance my experience, right? He wasn't adding any value to my experience. And so I said to him, please leave me alone. And you know what he says? He looks at me and he screams, fuck you at me. And like, thank fuck, I'm just such a self-secure woman, and I'm so embodied in my power, because that fuck you, it just like bounced off my field and flew away. Like, it didn't impact me. If I had been bothered, I probably would have screamed, fuck you, asshole, straight back at him. But like, honestly, why waste my breath on people like that, you know? Like, sometimes it's not worth it. And if they get the message the first time, then, you know, he didn't bother touching or coming onto me again after that. But it was like, how dare you tell me, fuck you, when you're the one that's encroaching on my space, when you're the one that's making me uncomfortable, when you're the one that's like bothering me, you know? And so this is what I mean by like owning your goddess power. All women are goddesses. And unfortunately, men have no idea how to treat a goddess. They have no idea what to fucking do when there is a goddess in their presence. And honestly, by you owning your goddess power, we teach men how to stay humble. And that's what they need to do. We need to have people approach us that are humble and that are coming from a place of respect, because the goddess doesn't ask for respect. She fucking demands it through her energy, through her boundaries, through her bad bitch attitude of, I don't owe anyone anything, right? And so to get to this point requires a fuckload of personal healing, shadow work, learning how to relate to your insecurities, healing your insecurities, and learning how to own your boundaries. That is the most important fucking part. And I feel like I've only really recently started to come into this lesson of like, what does it truly mean to own your boundaries? What do like obvious boundaries look like, and what are subtle boundaries, and how can I navigate the difference and the nuances between my boundaries, you know? And boundaries are not something that we set and then that's like them stuck forever. Boundaries are navigated. They're to be navigated. They're to be always, you know, they're always in flux, they're always in change, they're always in flow, you know. And so depending on the situation, depending on the person, depending on, you know, how safe you feel, depends on, you know, the strictness or the looseness of the boundary for the situation. And that's why boundaries are less about a mental thing, and they're more about a body felt sensation. And so this is why womb healing is so fucking empowering, because it teaches us to feel our own truth from the inside out first. Because how can you own your boundaries and speak your truth when you don't even know what it feels like in the first place? So that's like the first thing we have to establish, is like feeling your boundary, feeling like, does this feel good? Does this person make me feel safe? Can I open up to them? Can I share my energy with them? You know, whether it's in a platonic or romantic or sexual way. Like, can I be myself and let my guard down? But until this person has proved to me that I can let my guard down, up until that point, I need to have my boundaries to keep me safe, because not everyone, unfortunately, has the best intentions. And even people think they might be good people and think they might have good intentions, but they're actually really unconscious. And so they unintentionally and unconsciously overstep boundaries, and they unconsciously, you know, make you feel uncomfortable. So yeah, really owning your goddess power is one of the huge codes of the womb. Owning your goddess energy. And this has come to me so much on the dance floor, especially now since I've stopped drinking alcohol. It's really about how can, you know, I'm so conscious, because when I go into club spaces and I go into festival spaces, I don't drink, and so I'm really conscious and I'm really self-aware, and I'm able to tap into the emerging field, which is the co-creative energy field of a group space, of a confined space. And so now, you know, it's about flowing through this field, but also knowing what your place within that dynamic actually is, and being able to take up space and giving yourself the permission to take up space in those environments. Yeah, life is so much better than without alcohol. Honestly, my life has changed since, like, on such a significant level. When I stopped drinking alcohol. Partying is so much more fun. Engaging with people, socializing with people, it's all so much more fun when we don't drink alcohol, and we're able to just be more in touch with like our own needs and our boundaries and our authentic desires and our expression. And we're no longer, you know, like, I feel like alcohol just numbs us. It really numbs us, and it disconnects us from our true self and from our true expression. And who the fuck wants to be numbed out anymore? It's so old school. It's so like been there, done that. Like, how many times do you have to get drunk to realize it's actually not that fun, right? Like, I mean, it's fun for like the first 2 drinks, and then like after that it's like shit just goes downhill. And it's like, yeah, anyway, I did a whole live a while ago with Livia on being sober. Go check it out. It's somewhere in my feed. But yeah, in this live, I really just want to speak around like owning your goddess power. What does that mean? And what does that look like? Okay. And like owning your place, not being afraid to take up space, not being afraid to ruffle some feathers, maybe, you know, because like I said, like a lot of people are going to be triggered by you owning your authentic expression, by you owning your authentic power, by you owning your authentic truth, by you dancing like a fucking badass bitch, sexy queen, motherfucking goddess, right? That's the energy I embody when I go onto a dance floor. I'm not there to fucking fuck around and like hide myself. No, I'm there to let loose. I'm there to heal. I'm there to twerk. I'm there to shake off the energy that's stuck. I'm there to release trauma. I'm there to like activate my full self, and therefore be an expression, be a permission slip for other people to do the same. Because when we are able to be so deeply embodied in our authentic expression, it allows for us to be a really powerful catalyst for other people to do the same. We become permission slips for other women and for other people to be their true selves, right? And isn't that beautiful when we can just give everyone the permission to be themselves, not by doing anything, but by just being ourselves, right? How beautiful is that? You know, everyone just feels so much more accepted and relaxed, and you know, they can let their guard down and know that they can feel safe to be who they want to be in your presence. And so this is a really powerful gift that we can offer the world when we go on a healing journey, and when we start to raise our consciousness and step into a more higher frequency states of being. Okay. I was having so many codes come to me on the dance floor last night, really around like the world needs to fucking start to wake up now. Like, the goddesses are back. The goddesses are taking over. Witches are taking over. Witches run festivals. Witches run club spaces. Like, we are controlling the astral space, not in a manipulative way, but we are very, very aware of the higher frequency states of being, the astral plane, the psychic planes that are created whether you are aware of them or not. And so even people who are drunk and who are, you know, like fucked up and whatever, they're still contributing to these spaces and to these realms, whether or not they know it. And so it can be very hard, especially as a single woman, to navigate those spaces, because you constantly feel like you feel like you are prey sometimes. Like, you really do, because when you go into those spaces, you're so yourself, and being yourself comes with a certain level of vulnerability, right? Because there's no barrier. We're not wearing masks to protect ourselves because we've healed those masks, and we've realized that it's so much more fun to not wear masks and to be our truest selves and not hide behind any pretenses. But then at the same time, it comes with this double-edged sword, this paradox of, you know, being vulnerable and feeling like prey. And this is one thing women often feel like in public spaces, is we feel preyed upon. We feel like our space is encroached upon. We feel disrupted and harassed. And, you know, it's like, this is the predominating culture of clubs, is that women are really, they are harassed, and they are taken advantage of, and they are manipulated, and they're gaslighted, and, you know, they're not made to feel safe, especially in a culture like South Africa, where it's still very, very conservative here, you know. I mean, people in Europe, I've partied all over Europe in many different clubs and festivals, and at least in Europe, there's like a little bit more like etiquette on the dance floor. People are much more self-aware. They party more consciously. They're less like blackout drunk people, which unfortunately in South Africa is still often the case. Like, the later it gets, the more people just become fucking zombies on the dance floor. And I don't like that. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped drinking alcohol. One of the main reasons is because I'm tired of being not present, and I want to be fully aware and fully present. And now it's like actually one of my kinks and superpowers to be the most sober, conscious person on a dance floor amongst like 1,000 or 100 other like fucked up, unconscious, zombie, brain dead people, right? It's like, I actually like kind of get a turn on and like kinky around this. I'm like, hee, like, I'm the most conscious witch in the room. Oh yeah. Like, these motherfuckers have no idea, and I just know everything, and I see everything, you know? So it's quite funny. And really, like, I am here. This is the codes of the womb are here to activate the goddess energy. That is what we're activating. That is what we're being called to. You know, we live in a patriarchal world, which means that goddess culture was eradicated with the introduction of patriarchy. Like, back in the ancient indigenous times, you know, we worshipped like goddesses and gods. Like, it was a divine respect for the masculine and the feminine, and the way that they create union, and the way that they create harmony, and the way that they interweave and work together. And so with now introduction of patriarchy, goddess culture was eradicated, and we had this indoctrination of God the Father, and God is outside of us, and we have to repent and like confess our sins, and like there's this God who's out there and he's gonna punish us, and all these things, you know. And it's like so dogmatic, and that's why so many people are so disconnected from what God means, because what goddess energy is all about, because they see it as this thing outside of us, when actually we are all God. We all hold God consciousness within us. We all are superhuman divine beings of light and love and power, and we can all activate that magic from within. Okay, this is also going back to when I spoke in my other live, activating your inner magic, and how we can, you know, like, I call myself a witch, and recently I've been very much introducing myself as a witch and telling people I'm a witch, just so that they like start to realize, like, you know, who are they messing with, right? And I don't say this like in an egoic, like, this is my label. I say it in a like, this is just like who I am, and so you know, like, who I am, you know. And what was I gonna say now? When we are activating our own inner magic, activating our own inner power. Okay, got it. So owning our own inner God energy, our own inner goddess energy. And for a woman, when we heal our womb, we activate these goddess codes from within our body, because our wombs are connected to the divine feminine energy all around us, the cosmic womb, the earth's womb, the great mother's womb. Like, it goes above and beyond just the self, okay? And so we are able to activate these codes of remembrance, these ancient codes of self-empowerment, of respect, of spiritual understanding, of spiritual respect, right? A goddess doesn't ask for respect, she fucking demands it through her energy, through her embodiment, through the way that she carries herself, through the way that she doesn't people please, okay? People pleasing is also a huge like trap, an insecurity trap that we as women fall into. You know, people pleasing is the fawn response. It's that not feeling safe, and so when we don't feel safe, we activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight. And when we activate that, fawning, which is people pleasing, is one of those trauma responses to not feeling safe. And so much of this work that I do and that I teach women is around how to cultivate that deep internal safety. And the only way to cultivate deep internal safety is through going into the body, is through meeting your dark side, is through meeting your shadow, is through learning to relate with the dark, ugly parts of yourself that you've pushed away and that you've sidelined, that you said you're not good enough and all these things, you know. And so the more that we can meet our shadow and really work with the parts of us that are insecure, work with the parts of us that we want to hide, work with the parts of us that are insecure and uncomfortable and feel unstable and feel emotionally all over the place and, you know, don't really know like where we fit in. And so the more we work with those parts of us, the more we can bring them out of the shadow and into the light. And by bringing them into the light, they start to heal and they start to release and they start to transform into a piece of self-empowerment rather than a piece of disempowerment. Because if you aren't aware of your insecurities and if you aren't working with your insecurities on a regular basis through shadow work, through therapy, through journaling, through all these tools of deepening self-awareness, then your insecurities are just going to be controlling you and ruling you and dictating your life and dictating like where you go and what you do and your job and your career and all these things, because you're looking to the outside to tell you what to do. You're looking at other people to tell you what to do. You're looking for inspiration in the wrong places. We get onto this like this horizontal plane where we're like constantly reaching out around us, but we're never going to feel satisfied because it's this like ever expanding horizontal reaching that we could just reach forever, right? But when we come back into a vertical state of alignment, which is in connection to our body, in connection to our truth, in connection to our womb, our pussy, our heart, our truth, our throat, our mind, our power, we come into a right relationship with ourself, with our mind, with our body, with our soul, and therefore with God, goddess, spirit, a divine higher power. And because if that relationship is good, then nothing else matters, because you know you are so self-sourced. You are so internally resourced from within that you no longer need the validation and approval of the external world. You no longer need that because it doesn't really make a difference. You know, people can compliment, people can, validate what they want, they can praise you, you know, but all of that is just extra added fluff, right? It's like you're good without it, also you're good with it, you know. You don't need the external approval of other people. And so this is what I see in these spaces is like people are constantly, they cannot be alone in their own energy because they have no idea what that feels like. They have no idea what their internal deep true calling desires are, because they have no idea what their authentic needs are. And coming to terms with your authentic needs and desires is a deep lesson of coming to terms with your body. What does your body want? What touch do you want? What kind of like, you know, sensations do you want to experience in your body? What makes you feel safe? What makes you feel turned on? What makes you feel open? What makes you feel relaxed, you know? And so when we come into deep relationship with all of these questions, because it's such a deeply personal journey to go on, and that's why what I teach you in my courses and in Liberated Womb, it's not a cookie cutter approach. I give you a framework and I give you practices and meditations and tricks and tools and tips to implement in your life, but it's a journey that you go on with your body, with your womb, with your pussy, with yourself. It's you. And through that process, you get to uncover who am I? What do I like? How do I want to move? How do I want to express? And when you relate to that part of yourself on such a deep level, it starts to become stronger and stronger, because whatever we put energy into grows, right? It flourishes. And so when you do this work on your own and in your own space, and you do the healing work, and you are not afraid to dive deep within yourself and look at your insecurities, look at all the ways you're people pleasing, look at all the ways you are negotiating your safety, negotiating your boundaries, not standing up for yourself, not speaking your truth, allowing people to walk all over you, allowing people to disrespect you, not getting not getting the respect that you deserve as a human to human level, right? There's a certain level of humanity and decent respect that has been lost from the world. There's been lost from the way that we relate to each other on a human to human level, let alone relating to a goddess. What was that? It was like a little fairy that just flew. Anyway, let alone relating to a goddess, right? The people in this world, men in this world, have no fucking idea how to relate to a goddess, let alone like a woman, let alone a motherfucking goddess. Like even last night as well, another story, it was quite funny. I was just like dancing, and I always usually dance. Sometimes I'll dance at the front, but later it gets like the front becomes too full of fucked up people, and then I dance at the back. And I'm just kind of like stand at the back, and I'm like weaving all the energy, and I'm like watching everyone, and I'm like focusing, but I'm also like deeply present within myself and my own experience, but I'm also very self-aware of what's going on around me. And there was this, and it's always like, why is it always the color, guys? Like, I'm sorry, but it usually is. This one guy was like standing in front of me, and he was just staring at me. Hi, Bridget. And he was just staring at me, and he was like staring at my tits, and I was wearing this quite tight crop top, and he was just like, God's gift to man is woman. Like, oh my God, like boobs are God's gift to man. And like, he was just freaking out. And I was just standing there, and I was just like, I was laughing at him, because I was like, yeah, I know I'm fucking hot. I know I'm a goddess. I know I'm like the hottest woman you've seen the entire night, but like it still doesn't give you the permission to perv on me, right? I do have great tits, thanks Bridget, I know. But just because I own that, and just because I embody that, and just because I like to dress sexy, it doesn't give other people the permission to over-sexualize me. It doesn't give you that permission. And so just because I like to sexualize myself, I like to dress sexy, I like to dance sexy, that doesn't give other people the permission to perv over me, to objectify me, right? And so it was just so hilarious, and I've had this happen so many times to me that it's just like it doesn't really faze me anymore. It's quite hilarious to me, because I know my own power, I'm very aware of it, and the effect that it has on mere little mortals who have no cooking clue how to be in the presence of a goddess. And so I just like said to this guy, I was like, I know I'm a goddess, but like fucking calm down, like it's really annoying. Yes, it's important to take a compliment for what it is, but like there's a way of like complimenting someone, and then there's also like in most club spaces people aren't like, I'm very open to compliments. I'm very open to receiving feedback and connection. And if people want to connect with me on a human to human level, let's go. But I'm not prepared for someone to stand in front of me, ogling me, misogynistically, like checking me out, like literally just like eye fucking me, and I'm just like, no, go away. Like, I did not consent to this. I do not consent to your energy, and like, just leave me alone because you're like encroaching on my space right now. And it was just fucking hilarious. And I said to this guy, like, I know I'm a goddess, but like, fucking calm down now. Like, I'm done with this. Like, I've put up with you for like enough time while it is. And then, you know, and then they like, and even if you say a boundary or you speak your truth, then they see it as like, oh, now I can speak to her. Now I can like, you know, and it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. And so then this guy started like speaking. I didn't even know what the fuck he was saying. I didn't even give a fuck. And then my friend comes behind me and she puts her arms around me and then like kind of to be like, yo, fuck off. Like, this is my girl. Like, go away, you know. But it was just funny, you know, because I don't need anyone to protect me. I really don't. But it's important that we look out for each other within club spaces, within festivals, like within public spaces, you know, even like going to the bank or wherever you are, like look out for other humans, like make sure that no one is being disrespected, because yeah, we live in a world where actually people don't look out for each other, and it's really fucking sad. I had a friend who had a really traumatic experience. She like literally, she was on a traffic jam on the N2 on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of the day, and like some people came to her window and they were like literally like trying to take her phone and smashed her window, and like it was really traumatic for her. But she was in a fucking traffic jam with like a million other people around her, and no one got out the car to help her, not one single person. And like that just goes to show like we're so self-centered and so selfish in like our own energy that we forget that like we need to be looking out for other people. We need to be, you know, like I'm a fucking powerful goddess, but I'm also vulnerable. And men are physically stronger than me, you know? And so I don't want to always have to fight my own battles all alone. I don't want to have to fight all my battles all alone. And so that's why we need to look out for our brothers and sisters, okay? If you are a man watching this, look out for the women around you, you know? If you're a woman watching this, look out for your sisters. Make sure that they're safe. Like, you know, protect them. Make sure that they are feeling comfortable and feeling self-assured and in a safe space, right? And so only recently have I become comfortable enough with partying alone and where I'm able to go out alone. But, you know, these are the downsides of going out alone, is it makes you vulnerable, because even though I had people and I had friends in the club, in that moment in time, I was vulnerable because I was dancing alone, and guys just think that, you know, that is a woman dancing alone and embodied in her sexual energy and her power is a permission slip for them to perv over her, like take up her space, be in her space, like suck her energy. This is also what it comes down to. When you are able to own your divine power and own your energy and be embodied in that, you are channeling, like I said, from source. You're channeling from your own authentic source. Most people are actually looking to the outside, to drugs, to substances, to alcohol, to other people to get their energy, to get their high from. But whereas me, I'm high on my own supply. I'm high on my own connection to my own body, to my own experience, to the music, to whatever's going on, right? And so this is where, you know, the term energy vampires comes from, because yes, house party all life long. Yes, house party vibes. Yes, definitely. But I love going clubbing and I love going to festivals and I love being in these spaces because it allows you to see like these sorts of dynamics play out. And it's interesting and it teaches you very, very quickly how to own your boundaries, how to own your truth, how to be still in your frequency. But at the same time, you have to be aware that like energy vampires are real. Majority of people are unintentionally energy vampires. And so, you know, when they see a goddess, like, of course they're going to gravitate straight towards the goddess and just like try to suck her life force from her. You know, this is a very, very real thing that I have to deal with. And so it's really about navigating the nuances, navigating, you know, the boundaries, navigating like what makes me feel safe, what doesn't make me feel safe, how can I own my boundaries, how can I own my truth, and how can I, as a living, breathing goddess, allow other people the safe space to express themselves and to dance how they want to dance and to be wild and crazy and sexy and sensual and, you know, everything that they want to be, you know, and that's beautiful. As long as we're not, as long as we're all operating within a consensual space and we're not encroaching on other people's personal space without their permission and their consent, then everything is fine, you know. I don't care who I'm dancing next to, as long as they are not, you know, like making me feel uncomfortable, then it doesn't really matter, you know. And this is, yeah, it's another thing, because being a self-expressed sexy woman in the world brings a lot of unwanted attention. And sometimes, you know, I just want to connect with people like on a friendly level. I'm not always wanting to flirt with people. I'm not always wanting to like have that like sexual energy with people. And it's hard because majority of people will lust after me before they've even gotten to know me on a real level. And so that can also be like really hard, and it can be really like sad because I have all these people lusting after me, but no one wants to actually bother to get to know me on a real heart level, because that also requires vulnerability from them as well, and that's scary. And vulnerability for most people is very scary, and that's why being your authentic self is really scary for a lot of people, because it requires so much vulnerability. It requires you to wear your heart on your sleeve. It requires you to be your most authentic self, and being your most authentic self is scary because we've been programmed to hide. We've been programmed to you know, wear masks and be numb and be small and shrink ourselves and not take up space. So yeah, that's a little rant on how we can activate goddess codes. Goddess codes are coming back. Witches are taking over this world. You better fucking know it. Like, witches are becoming mainstream. That's why I started telling everyone that I'm a witch. It's why I'm going to be speaking to everyone about what witches are, what we're here to do, the healing and the change that we're here to bring for this world, because this world is so fucked up right now. I know it, you know it. And so we need some revolutionary spiritual wisdom up in this bitch, like so fucking badly, like so fucking badly. And so, yeah, witches are taking over the world, and I'm not even gonna try to hide it, because that is the fucking truth. And yeah, all women are goddesses, and all goddesses deserve to be worshipped. Okay, don't ever approach a goddess without an offering, because goddesses are so self-sourced that they don't need anything from you. They really don't need anything from you. And so if you are not adding value to her life, then, you know, what is even the point of you being in her life? Because I can do everything for myself. I don't need anyone for anything. I can love myself right. I can fuck myself right. I can feed myself right. I can take care of myself. I can do everything I need for myself. And so the only people that I want in my life are people that are going to add value and give me something I cannot give myself. Okay? So that is part 1 of the goddess rant over. I'm probably going to speak about this again. It's something I'm really passionate about. And yeah, treat yourself like a goddess. You are a goddess. Woman, you are a goddess. If you're a man watching this, treat the women in your life like goddesses, because they are, and majority of them have forgotten that they're goddesses. So it's your prerogative to remind them that they're a goddess by the way that you treat them. Okay? Mwah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Sign up to Liberated Womb. The discount code ends on Monday. If you want to activate your full goddess potential and powers and just become your most self-expressed best version of yourself, sign up for Liberated Womb. It's going to be so fucking lit. We start in like 10 days time on the 5th of June. So yeah, be there or be square. Mwah. Ciao.